Welcome back to the Two Promises Podcast. Let's dive right into another exciting adventure with BD and crew as he pursues his new passion of one day finding the most epic bourbon. The Two Promises team send their special thanks to Hobie and the Huckleberries for their masterful theme music. So grab a glass, relax, and enjoy responsibly.
Baby says she's leaving if I don't stop drinking wine. So I switched to whiskey, now I'm feeling fine. Drinking that smooth, smooth whiskey. No more wine. I like straight bourbon. Baby, you try the ride.
So it sounds like you've got a huge foundation. You've got the Army background, the medical background. You've got deployments under your belt. You became a SEAL. You learned all of those hard skills and soft skills of being an operator. Aggressive postures, defensive postures, target assaults, threat analysis, not just from doing your chart studies, doing your significant actions, things like that, from like mission planning level, but also at the tactical and technical level while you're on the field and you're analyzing and responding to threats in real time. You've got multiple deployments, multiple of those train ups where they drill these skill sets into you, and you've got that foundation. You have that embodied. And even while we were together at SEAL Team 17, you were running a lot of security business. You were doing a lot of security stuff on the side, doing trips. And now, since you've officially retired, you've pretty much moved full time into the security space. Do you mind telling us a little bit about how that transition came about?
Yeah. In 2009, while I was still active, I started the business as I was getting out. And I knew I could only take it so far. I mean, that was a one-man show. Imagine if you were to stand up right now and empty your pockets. That's what I started the business with. I was in E6 when I got out the first time. So I had a lot of motivation. I could shoot, move, and communicate really well. I hadn't even done an LPO tour. Well, I did an LPO tour at third phase as an instructor, but it's different when you do one in the platoon, a little bit more dynamic. But I had a calling. I knew that I wanted to do something else, or that I could do something else. So I just started picking at it. I didn't even know how big the business animal was when I started it, but I started one stone at a time. Okay, establish my LLC. I went through all the admin stuff, right? Get my license and get my certification, get my carry permit, get my guard card. All right, now I can start selling myself as somebody that does security. Who do I do this for? At the time, Mexico was a war zone, the border there in TJ, in Tijuana. And I thought, what can I do to help people out that are going there? I had already been doing some low-level security protection, right? I added vehicles to it. Then I added training. Well, I had already taken every tactical course the military had to offer me at that point. How do I translate that to the civilian world? Defensive driving, evasive driving, medical courses, TCCC, counter surveillance, situational awareness, marksmanship, basic, intermediate, and advanced, right? So now I've got a whole courseware. I've got a whole catalog of things that I can sell. On top of that, I can sell my services to security. Everything I learned overseas as a kid and adding what I learned in the SEAL teams, now I've got a real good tactical and technical mindset that I can sell to the public if they ever need to travel, if they need safety, if they need security. I can do that for you. And if I can't do it, I'll find somebody that can. There's other guys out there that I trust that'll help me do this. One employee turned into two, office turned into 3, 4, 5. Now I have more people coming to me for work. Open up another office in Mexico City. I got some local nationals that I trusted and I vetted and I had worked with down there for a little bit. Then Mexico turned into Colombia, then in Brazil. Next thing you know, we have a full-fledged business, over 150 employees at one time. But going back to what you spoke to about earlier, we were talking about getting to a certain level and understanding that in order to go to the next level, you need to be a better communicator. Well, that's exactly what happened to Eagle Eye. We got to a point where we couldn't take it any further with who we were and what we had. So we partnered with a bigger, stronger, better company. And that's going to take us into the next 10, 15 years, hopefully. Good communication will take you to maybe 100,000 a year. Better communication will take you to 1 million. Once you get to 1 million, if you want to get to 10 million, you got to be really smart. You got to communicate effectively across a whole spectrum of people you're dealing with. You're dealing with corporate people that have been in business for many, many years. You're dealing with legacy companies, Fortune 5, 300, and 10 that expect a certain standard and level of care. to get to that, you need to be an even better communicator, right? And ask for help. I learned early on that I could not do it all alone. I had to ask for help, but the right help, right?
Right.
And that's exactly what happened. We took it little by little, piece by piece, as I learning how to be a businessman the whole way. I didn't study it. Nobody told me how to do it. I sought mentors, just like I was your mentor in the beginning, as a lot of instructors are for us as we're going through the system. I had many myself in the teams, guys that I still look up to. We share some of those guys in common, and just keep looking, keep learning, keep asking questions, ask for help when you need it, and be that man of service as you spoke about. I'm big on that now. My job on earth is not about me anymore. It's not about you. It's about helping the guys to our left and to our right that need that help, need that coaching, need that mentorship, need that experience so that they can eventually get to a point where they can tell themselves what I just told you. Be a human of service.
I like the way you put that. So we in the teams, anytime we'd go to a training site, we'd have lodging, we'd have anything like that. It was kind of drilled into us. Leave it better than you found it. You're going to have a field day at the end of it. You're going to clean it up. And if you can make improvements to it, make improvements to it. Deployment site. They joked that we were SEAL bees there in our little fobs or whatever camp we were on. And we would try to find ways to make it better for the people behind us. And it seems like you have translated that to like a much deeper level, not just a physical improvement, not just a cleaner environment, but a social improvement by teaching others, training others, getting them up to that level of competence that you had at one point and encouraging them to go higher. So that life of service and that life of building people is just an incredible way to look at your life, your day to day, your outlook, and your mission in life. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, that's something that I learned in the last 5 years. If you've been given the opportunity and you have experiences to share, then you should make it a point to do that for the rest of your life. And going back to what you just said, leave it better than when you got it. I gave a shooting course here not too long ago, and I had 10 M4s that were given to me to use by friends and members of the shooting course. And I said, okay, I'll get those back to you. I'll clean them up. They're like, no, don't worry about it. I could not clean them up. I mean, it took me 2 days, but I cleaned 10 M4s because I just could not give those weapons back to them dirty. Because you and I both know how many hours and how many cans of Copenhagen we spent while cleaning guns.
Right. That is awesome that it's still with you, ingrained in you today, that you're still living it too.
Yep.
A lot of times people hit a peak, hit a pinnacle, hit a plateau, and they think they've arrived. They think they've made it. And so they let all of those steps, all of those things that got them there,
Yeah.
they let it go. They drop them and they find a sense of entitlement that, oh, I should be here. Oh, I should have this. I deserve this. And yet you're not taking out the trash anymore. You're not cleaning the weapons anymore. You're not doing every single thing that got you to that plateau. And if you're not reinforcing all the steps that got you there, you're going to be trying to build on a crumbling foundation.
Yeah. Totally, man. I don't even have anything to say to that. You're 100% right.
What would you give? I mean, you've got experience in the tactical world, the SEAL world, all that stuff. You've been a business builder for over a decade, probably pushing a decade and a half, two, maybe. And what advice would you give the entrepreneur who is in the grind, who is, they've got their vision, they're building towards it, they're working towards it, but they know they need to take the next steps? What advice would you give to them who's somewhere in the midpoint of their entrepreneur journey?
Okay, so as you start to grow your company, you become whatever it is that you're selling, whether it's a service or a unit, right? Or widget, a product, whether it's a service or a product, you're going to get into the business of managing people. For example, we sell security services, but in order to do that, it takes manpower. So there's a lot of employees involved, right? A lot of humans involved. So it became a lot about human capital management for us, managing characters, personalities, certifications, qualities that these people possess, right? And in a lot of businesses, those people can make or break your business. So you have to be very wise and very careful on who you bring into your business, right? For how long and what your expectations of them are. That's number one, is hire correct, right? Take your time in finding the right people that are going to grow your organization in the way that you want it to grow. That's number one. Number two is grow slow. There's nothing wrong with growing slow, because when you grow slow, you grow deliberate. If you grow too fast, you may miss steps. You may hire a little too quickly and hire the wrong person. That's going to set you back 2 years. So take your time, develop your product first or your service first, get familiar and understand the value that you're trying to convey, you're trying to provide, and hold that value tight and don't move from it. Don't get swayed. Don't dilute it, because that's what people are buying. They buy the value that you're bringing, or they buy the value that product affords them, right? If you grow too fast and you hire the wrong people, your value is going to get diluted. So take your time and hire the correct people for your organization.
Those are some super excellent points. I think today you've talked about screen time with family members, all that kind of stuff. So often we get sucked into that dopamine just addiction, and we're always just looking for that next little bit of satisfaction. And even just outside of that, even if I'm not just looking at a metric on a phone, but I'm also looking at my, say, physical fitness level, and I've got a milestone that I want to hit. And I'm so focused on that that I'm like, oh, I got to go fast, I got to go fast, I got to go fast. Or, oh, I don't have the views, the followers, the likes, or anything like that. And any of these metrics that kind of get you sucked in. I really love how you put just grow slow. It's not about seeing that 1,000,000% rise. You're scaling over time. You're being deliberate. You're being intentional, and you're going at the pace you need to, because you're going to run into more problems if you have such a big peak and you can't keep up with the growth. Then that could be another setback. You're going to have a little bit of that upward trend, but being comfortable growing slow and going through the growth and taking the lessons as they come, I think is a very important lesson for even myself, just to kind of keep on board, to think about, and to have that expectation management, that I'm not always looking at whatever it is that I want my end result to be. I'm dedicating myself to the practice and the process on the
Yeah.
day to day as we go through it.
Yeah, you'll learn so much more on that slow growth and on those valleys. You mentioned peaks and valleys, right? Ups and downs, highs and lows. The time that you're going to learn the most is on the lows. So embrace the lows. Sit in your lows and understand why you're in a low. Don't be so quick to move out of it if you don't know why you're there, or you're just going to be right back into it.
Freaking awesome. I'm loving this conversation. I'm thinking maybe if we can transition, you've got tons of experience, tons of guidance here, and you're in the security realm. So I like to help my listeners get some nuggets from maybe some area that they might not be as familiar with. I have people my parents' age, people my grandmother's age. I have teenagers, and I have people my age. So there's tons of people out here listening, and they're from a very wide spectrum. So their experience is not the same as ours, being military background, SEAL teams. Would you mind sharing some of the expertise you have as a security specialist with your Eagle Eye protection? What tips could you give my listeners for improving the security posture in their day to day life?
Okay, let's start. I could do this in my sleep. I've done this one, and I've done this course, and I've taught hundreds of people how to be situationally aware, right? Which is something I learned when I was really young, and I carried that all the way up until I was in my 50s, right? I just turned 52. I'm going to start with the personal side, which is you, yourself, and then I'm going to move into your physical reality, which it would be your home, your business, and then the security circle, basically, that we live in. Okay. So let's start with the self. Number one, the best thing you can do as a person navigating this earth is to be aware of your surroundings. All right. Now, what does that mean? It means that before I leave my house, I'm not just leaving it unlocked, right? I'm turning on lights. If I need to turn lights on, if I know I'm going to be gone for a trip, I turn some lights on and I make the house look lived in a little bit, right? I leave the house. When I get to my car, I don't have my head looking down at my phone while I'm going to the car, right? If you live in an urban area, downtown, big city like that, you definitely want your head up all the time. Put your phone away. Do not have your phone in your hand. Put it in your purse, put it in your front pocket or something. Right now, in a lot of places, if they see your phone sticking out of your back pocket, they'll just take it right out of your back pocket and they'll be gone. All right. So have your head up when you're out and about, walking around, and Be aware of what people look like as they're walking towards you, or maybe on the other side of the street, what they're doing with their hands. Are they hiding their hands? Do they have a hoodie? Are they hiding their face? Do they have a mask on? All right. Are they stumbling? Are they walking a little bit quirky? That tells you a little bit about their level of consciousness, right? Maybe they've been drinking. Maybe they're high. Maybe they're walking a little bit aggressive and a little bit too quick towards you, right? Or maybe they're acting like they don't want you to see them, but they're still walking towards you. All right. So those are all tells that I get to see just by having my head up and looking at my surroundings. All right. Now, I'm moving along. I get to work or I get to school, whatever it is that you're doing, and you get confronted by somebody. Now somebody's in your space. Guard your space. Don't let anybody talk to you within hand striking distance. Number one, keep them a little bit at bay. You can do that tactfully and in a nice manner. You don't have to be rude about it. You can even take a step back. But the problem with taking too many steps back, it lets somebody know that you lack confidence or that you're probably scared, which is what they want, if they have nefarious intent. Somebody that doesn't have nefarious intent won't take offense to that, right? But if somebody does, you'll be able to tell because they'll keep closing that distance, even after you put your hand up and tell them to stop and to give you and to respect your space. All right. So now you're in a confrontation phase with somebody and you know that they have bad intent. So you have to have some skill sets, man. If you're a man, you got to be in shape, right? If you're a woman, I would also say you should also be in shape, especially if you have kids with you. If you're a single mom and you're putting yourself out there all the time, you got your kids, you're carrying your bags, grocery bags, whatever, your purse, you're distracted all day, right? So give yourself some tools. Take a self-defense class. Carry some spray. If you're a man, learn how to fight. Stay in good shape. A fight, an all-out brawl, a fight after 10 to 15 seconds, 15 seconds if you're lucky and in halfway decent shape, you're going to be spent. You're going to be absolutely spent. If you don't train for it, imagine if you're just somebody that has never trained to fight and is out of shape, you don't have a chance against a young buck on the streets that is high, right? So invest in yourself. All right. Guard your space. Don't be afraid to talk to people because when they talk back, you get to know a little bit about their level of consciousness. Are they not talking back to you? Are they avoiding? Are they slurring their words? These are all things that you can tell from people without even being in a physical altercation. This is just you being observant and trying to socialize with somebody. So be aware, keep your head up, guard your space, be respectful, and move throughout the planet smartly. All right. Now let's talk about the home, the business, and the residence. There's a lot of things, anybody can go to Costco or Amazon, get a couple cameras, a Ring camera, and you're up and running, right? It's not that expensive to have decent home security, right? A Ring camera is awesome because you can see who's at your door. Don't ever just open up a door without seeing what's on the other side. That's a big tactic these days for people to bum rush your door and get inside your home. You may even have somebody on the other side of the door that seems like they're in duress, that are just trying to get you to open the door because behind them around the corner is two other guys that are going to bum rush that door. So get that system, whatever you need, so that you don't have to open up your door. If you don't have something like that, just talk to them through the closed door. Anybody that doesn't have bad intentions will talk to you from the other side of the door and be fine with it, right? We're in this period where we've gotten to the point, Brent, where we're afraid to kind of stand our ground a little bit and be forceful when we need to be because we don't want to offend people. And I think that's a detriment.
Right.
That is a big detriment right now, and that'll get you in trouble. Alongside lighting, good lighting is a key factor in your house, right? No bad guy wants to come into a house that's well lit, right? An ADT sign or some sort of sign on the lawn that says, hey, this house is being monitored. You want to be a hard target. Don't be a soft target, right? A soft target is somebody that walks with their head down, looking at their phone with their hands in their pockets as you're talking to people. Don't ever talk to anybody in your space with your hands in your pockets. Have them out in front. Your hands live out in front, okay? Back with the home. Getting to the home is one of the most dangerous parts. As a security guy, a lot of assaults happen in and around a vehicle. So when you're getting home, you're getting out of your car, you're distracted. That's when guys will run up behind you and attack you from behind. Get in your house through the garage. When you open up that garage door, sometimes when I'm overseas or in a third world country, I've driven by the hotel a couple of times or by the Airbnb a couple of times. I do a couple laps to make sure nobody's outside waiting for me, especially if the garage door is a tight space where I know as soon as I open it, Somebody could come around the corner and get in, or somebody could just run in from a car that's parked outside. Always be aware of who's outside your house parked. Any cars that don't belong, if that's your neighborhood, you're going to know. You're going to know which cars belong there and which cars don't. You're going to know which cars have been sitting for a while. You're going to know what people belong there, what people don't. I always make it a factor to know who my neighbors are. I know all my neighbors in my neighborhood. In every neighborhood that I've ever lived in, I know exactly who lives in each house. And I make it a point to socialize with them every now and then, just to make sure that I know who's there, who's living there, and that they know that I'm still the same guy with the same amount of people in my house. You got to take care of each other, especially when you leave your house for periods of time. You can count on a neighbor. Hey, I'm leaving for a couple of days. If you see something wonky, let me know. Right. So those are some key factors. They seem like common sense, but we just don't do them, you know?
Absolutely. That's all great. Thank you for sharing. I'll share maybe a not so good application of some of the principles that you just mentioned and shared with us. Keeping your head up, looking around. So I'm young. This is while I'm on my missions trip to El Salvador. We had some time off. I went on a hike with some of the other people to Puerto del Diablo. It's like a little mountain hike, and we were on our way back. I'm talking to the person sitting in the bus seat, and it's very common in El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala. I went to most of those places. Well, I went to all those places, spent different varying amounts of time there. But on your buses or your public transportation, you'll have people boarding the bus and they're selling things. So chiclets, tamales, pollo, like whatever. Like I literally had somebody carrying a chicken coming onto the bus, like trying to sell me a chicken.
Yep.
So I don't have my eyes up. I'm not being aware of my environment, situationally aware, and I'm talking to the person next to me. All of a sudden, there's somebody just right here in my space. Oh, hey, blah, blah. And I think, oh, he's just trying to sell me something. You know what I mean? Like, oh, no, I'm good. No, thank you. No, thank you. And then he persisted. And then, the hair on the back of my neck started standing up. Then I started realizing, oh, no, this is not somebody trying to sell me something. This is somebody trying to take something from me. So I tried to play the dumb tourist and just pretend like I had no idea what he was saying. And, oh, no entiendo, whatever. You know what I mean? And then he started escalating. He's putting his hips onto my shoulder. He's tapping my thigh to try to get my wallet or whatever. And he's escalating. And then I start piecing his words together a little bit more. He's speaking Spanish, obviously. And he basically says, Dame tu cartera o quieres que lo tomo? Hey, give me your wallet or do you want me to take it from you?
Yeah.
And so at this point, I'm knowing, hey, I don't want to be the reacting person in this situation. If I'm reacting to his violence, I'm already at a disadvantage. So I kind of like use that time to give a little bit of maybe tactical deception or whatever.
Yeah.
So then I said, well, no. Then I started speaking Spanish because I first would pretend like you did. It's like, no, actually, over there's the door and I want you to go.
Yeah.
Actually, ahí la puerta, quiero que se vaya. And I pointed to the back door of the bus and he's like, oh, you speak Spanish. And so then he just kind of redoubles his efforts. And going back to what you said, get the tools, get the training, go to a class. I had practiced karate for 3 or 4 years up to this point, and I wrestled for a year in high school before I moved away from that school that had the wrestling program. So luckily, even though I was already a target for violence, financial violence, all that kind of stuff, I had tools in my toolbox. I had some preparation in advance. So I was able to basically, I elbowed him in the crotch. He had very baggy jeans on, but that got him off guard. I immediately had him in an elbow lock and was able to walk him towards the back of the door, towards that door that I kind of pointed him towards. I was able to walk him to the back of the bus. And me thinking that my posturing would have been enough at this point to bring the threat down.
Yeah.
I erred on the side of less aggression, which sometimes that's a consistent thing in my life. Sometimes I probably should have gone a little bit more aggressive, but I didn't. So I just kind of kept that lock in. I pushed him back towards that door. We were getting within a few feet of it. And in that flurry, like my glasses got a little cocked at the time. At the time I wore glasses. So my glasses got a little cocked and he sees that. And so he starts punching at me and I'm adjusting the glasses with one hand and I'm blocking with my other hand and no blow really lands. Like it's all just kind of maybe something like tap my forehead or something, but like there was no real connection. So I get my glasses on straight. And now I'm like, okay. And then I finally put up my Dukes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're kind of in like a standoff, and I throw one punch, and I will never forget it because at this point, like the whole bus is just quiet. Everybody's like, oh my goodness, the gringos, you know, scrapping with. And so everybody's quiet. Nobody wants to say anything. And it's just dead silence and just the slap. I can't even replicate it of my fist just landing right below his eye,
Yeah.
just in that quiet environment was just, I want to say hilarious, but it was just very, like, you
Yeah.
can't make it up. You can't really repeat it. And so that kind of almost felt like it echoed,
Yeah.
but that also caused him to flail. He had a spike bracelet on. The goth thing at the time was very big, even down there or whatever. So they got these big punker spike bracelets. That does knock my glasses off. I think he just knocked my glasses off. I didn't realize anything else happened. I just thought his arm flailed, knocked off my glasses, no big deal. I push him out the door. I throw him down to the street. This time I'm not fiddling with my glasses. I'm letting those things go. So I get him out to the street, and all of a sudden he looks up. Like his eyes change, his whole mannerism changed. Like at first it looked like he was gonna like turn and go, like, all right, fine, I'm done here. But right about that time, I'm feeling some fluid on my eye. And I thought, oh, am I sweating? Like, what's going on here? I'm not thinking anything about it. I'm engaged in what's going on right here. And so he grabs the side of the bus. He's starting to like pull himself back in. And I bring my knee up ready to throw a kick, and it's poised, it's ready, and it's about to rock, and it's right at his face teeth level. He realized he'd already gotten hit once, didn't want to take a foot, so he took off running at that point. And then that's when I realized that he had nicked me with that spike bracelet, and I was bleeding.
Yeah.
I ended up getting a few stitches at a local clinic. But that's just an illustration, an example of, even if you drop one of those pillars of security that you're talking about, if you have a good foundation, if you have, and I'm not saying to drop it, don't be situational. I'm saying don't do that. Be situation aware. Keep your eyes up. Pay attention to what's going on. Life, sometimes you might get caught off guard. You might get caught off balance. But if you have training and you have a foundation and experience behind it, you can recover from those mistakes a lot easier.
No doubt. That's right on point, man. And I think a lot of people would hear that and say, well, you didn't do anything wrong. What did they expect you to do? And I think now hearing that story is a good wake up call for people that if you can avoid it, don't let somebody get to that point. It's okay to challenge some people before that guy sat down or got close. Had you had your heads up, you could have put your hands up and said, hey, I'm sitting here. That's a little bit too close. Step back. Or even stood up. I don't know if you were sitting down at the time, but stood up and squared off in a manner saying, I'm not a soft target. I know what you're up to.
Absolutely. So there's so many good takeaways from your stuff. And just like you hit on it, be that hard target. Don't be that soft target. They're looking for their easy victims.
Yep.
And if you are postured up and you're vigilant, people aren't going to want to mess with that person. They're wanting the easy money. They're wanting the easy victim.
Yep. That's it.
It has been awesome having you on the show. I want to give you the floor again to let you have any last minute wrap up comments, any last pieces that you want to share with us.
Yeah. Yep. I would say that for all those individuals out there, it doesn't matter how old you are, whether you're young, middle-aged, or even in your 50s, 60s, it's never too late to go into something new. If you're living your life and you've thought to yourself every now and then, is this what I really want to be doing? Am I doing what God called me to do? Is this really it for me to work here and do this 9 to 5? Let me tell you, the best thing you can do for yourself is take a moment, take some time out, like I said, whether you're young or older, and sit down and ask God, tell me my true life's purpose. What am I supposed to be doing right now? Am I being who I'm supposed to be? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing right now that is supposed to bring me joy? Right? And that takes time. Number one, it takes for you to acknowledge that you're looking for that, right? Because it's one thing to keep going. You get comfortable doing something for so long and you feel like that's you now, going back to that identity, like that's what you're supposed to be doing. But society really is geared to bring you up, mold you, and point you in a certain direction. That's what you're supposed to do. And I think before you go down that road, especially if you're young and you're still trying to figure out who your true authentic self is. What is my purpose? What am I good at? What do I love doing? What do I get lost in when I start doing it? What is it that I do that when I look up, 8 hours have passed by and I ask myself, where did the time go? When you get lost in something that you're doing, you've basically stopped time. That's what you're doing. Time doesn't exist for you at that moment. When you look up and 12 hours have passed and you're like, where did the time go? You just figured it out. That's something you should look into. Maybe something you should be doing.
That's freaking awesome. I'm super grateful for everything you've shared with us. You're hitting right on some of the foundational pieces that we come back to here a lot, but you are putting it in such an eloquent way with such great perspective, and it's obviously from your experience.
Yeah.
So it has been so great having you on the show, for real. All of these things have just been absolutely perfect. Gonzo, really appreciate you being on the show, and I look forward to hearing more about your success as you continue to scale that epic business that you've got going on and see more about where life takes you.
All right, man. Anytime. Don't be a stranger.
Thank you for joining us today on this curious roller coaster of life. If this is your stop, please exit peacefully. Enjoy the rest of your day. If you're ready for another one, just push play. Just a final note before you go, thank you, and thank you for feeling. The distillation and aging process is different for everyone. I'm not quite sure what you're ready for. Sip slowly and enjoy responsibly.
Baby says she's leaving if I don't stop drinking wine. So I switched to whiskey, now I'm feeling fine. Drinking that smooth whiskey. No more